Hey, what's up guys? It's Dan from the Sex Guy Method, and I'm here today to share with you my first and probably my most important sex tip. In this video, I'm going to show you why, for most average guys, giving women 1 or 2 orgasms is a big challenge. But for some guys, giving women 5, 6, 7 orgasms every night is actually very easy. And the reason why it's so easy for these guys is they know a secret about female sexuality that most guys will never know. And in this video, I'm going to share with you that secret. Now, it's very important that you understand this secret if you're trying to become great in bed, because if you're trying to become great in bed and you're learning a lot of ways to please her and a lot of techniques, really all of them are going to count for nothing unless you learn this, and really all the hard work you put into becoming great in bed will be wasted. On the other hand though, if you learn this secret and you really understand it, then everything you learn, all the sexual techniques you learn, are going to work about 1,000 times better. And in addition to this, if you really understand the sex tip fully, then what's going to happen is you're going to be able to easily give her those screaming multiple orgasms every single night. And you're going to be the best lover she's ever had. You're going to take her to heights of pleasure she's never experienced before. And what's going to happen is sex with you is going to become so amazingly pleasurable that she's actually going to become sexually addicted to you. So you definitely really want to learn this sex tip, and you definitely want to avoid the mistake that most guys make by not understanding this. Okay, so the big mistake that most guys make when they try to become great in bed is this. When most guys try to sexually improve themselves, what they do is they look mainly for physical ways to give her pleasure. They look for new physical techniques they can learn. What I mean by this is they look for new ways to stimulate her with their tongue or with their fingers, or new ways to thrust into her, or new sex positions, or basically they look for new ways to give her physical stimulation. Now, on the surface of this, it seems to make sense. I mean, after all, if you watch porn, then the guys don't seem like they're doing anything besides physically stimulating her, and the girls seem like they're responding to it. However, guys who think like this are really missing the boat as to what really turns a woman on. This is why for guys who think like this, it can be a challenge to give a woman 1 or even 2 orgasms, while, you know, you hear stories of guys giving women 3, 5, 10 orgasms from your friends or posted on the internet or whatever. And if you've fallen into this trap of thinking yourself, you might be thinking, what's wrong with me? How come I can't do what all these guys are doing? And there's nothing wrong with you. You just have to start thinking like the guys who are giving women multiple orgasms every night and learn what really turns her on. So if you want to become great in bed, the realization that you have to make is this. Women are not just turned on by physical stimulation. In fact, the much more important and much more powerful form of stimulation for them is actually psychological stimulation. Let me emphasize that again. If you want to become great in bed, you need to learn more than just physical techniques to please her. You also need to learn how to arouse her psychologically. Now, it's pretty apparent how important psychological stimulation is if you just look at your own sexuality. Because if you think about it, if you wanted to, you could buy a toy which replicates the physical feeling of a vagina almost exactly for around 50 bucks. Physically, it would feel exactly the same. But yet, most men in general spend billions of dollars every year trying to make themselves more attractive to the opposite sex. So why do men do this? Why don't we just buy the sex toy and say, oh, this part of my life is handled, I no longer need sex? The reason why is that the pleasure from any type of sex toy can't really compare to the sensations of actually having sex. And even though it feels physically the same, what's really making the difference between, you know, masturbation and having sex with a beautiful woman is the psychological stimulation. Physically, you know, they feel pretty much the same. However, what's really turning you on is the psychological stimulation of having sex with a beautiful woman. Now, usually most guys understand it from this illustration, but there are some guys who still say, like, psychological stimulation, that's a little bit fruity, I still don't think it's a real thing. So if you still don't believe psychological stimulation is real, if you're still a little bit skeptical, I want you to try this little experiment. The next time you masturbate, rather than looking at porn or whatever you normally do, I want you to think about a naked, hairy, fat guy. Think about that while you masturbate, and do the same physical thing as you always do. But I'm going to bet that for you, it's not really going to be as pleasurable thinking about the naked, hairy, fat guy as it is with the psychological stimulation of porn or whatever. And even though you're doing everything physically the same, you can see from this, it's kind of an extreme illustration of how psychological stimulation can really make or break your sexual pleasure. So now you understand how important psychological stimulation is for men when they're having sex. However, what you need to understand is that for women, psychological stimulation is about 10 times more important than it is for men. And you can see this if you just look at women's sexual behavior. Now, if you think about it, for about $25, a woman could buy a sex toy which could give her much better physical stimulation than you or I could ever give her. She can buy a dildo or a vibrator or a vibrating dildo or anything she wants to give her the exact physical stimulation that she wants. But for women, the difference between masturbation and sex is even bigger than it is for men. However, if you look at what women really want in bed, they don't want the newest engineered technology in vibrators. What they really want is a man who can turn them on and stimulate them psychologically. And you can see just how important psychological stimulation is for women when you look at the things that they're fantasizing about. If you look at women's fantasies, you see that they're never fantasizing about a guy with a 10-inch cock or a guy who knows 85 different sex positions. They're fantasizing about guys who can really get them wet and really turn them on through psychological stimulation.